I'm at the University of Derby's Mark Eaton Street site where the Creative Careers Summit is taking place. I'm here to interview Dylan Jones, the editor of GQ magazine, who's a guest speaker at today's event. Hi Dylan, it's great to have you here at the university.
Hello.
The Mark Eaton Street site that we're in now brings together students from our arts, design, media and technology courses. How important do you think facilities like this are to foster creativity?
I think they're probably more important now than they've ever been before. When I was at college, back when God was a boy, there were no, the facilities seemed to be sort of by the by. And actually, what I realised after leaving college, I was at Chelsea and then St Martin's in London, what we actually needed more than anything else was actually education about the real world. And you can't really, there are two ways of doing that. You either do it yourself or else you have really strong practical guidance. And I think that the facilities play a huge role in that.
You're editor of GQ magazine and you've also worked on numerous other prestigious publications. What advice would you give to our students who want a career in the industry?
My advice is always to get in and try and do work experience. We take work experience people all year long, so we probably have 40, 45 of them, and people should always write to the very top, because if you don't, your letters or emails will disappear. Be persistent. And then when you get a place, and it's not difficult to get places, regardless of whatever institution or industry or company you're trying to get involved with, is to become the world's biggest irritant. Because what lots of people do when they do work experience, they sit there intimidated, phone their friends and just sort of shrink. And what you've got to do is understand that you have a window of opportunity, possibly only 4 or 5 days, to basically make your mark and become an important component of that workplace. And I think what many people don't realise is that what we're looking for is not people with great ideas, not people who have a very particular idea of what they want to do. We're looking for people who can get things done. And actually, if you can get something done in one industry, you can probably get it done in another. And actually, all we want is people to solve problems.
What do you think are the important skills and qualities for a student who wants to be successful in the industry?
I mean, having ideas is obviously very important. However, making those ideas happen is often more important. And you have to be tenacious, you have to be really forward-thinking, and you have to sort of inflict yourself upon the world, I think.
How did you get your big break?
I always say that in this industry, in the media, you need two things. The second thing is you need to work very, very, very hard. And the first thing you need is luck. And I was very lucky because I was doing some interviews for a friend of mine who was a photographer, completely unemployed, going to nightclubs all the time. And then the person who edited the magazine wanted me to come in after seeing that and start working. This is at ID back in 1983. And I jumped at the chance and worked fantastically hard, but I had that break. And you sort of have to manufacture a break for yourself. You sort of have to put yourself in the right situation. It's like that old saying, you can't choose who you fall in love with, but you can choose where you look.
You've written a style guide for the modern man. What elements do you think are important for our fashion and textile students to include in their work?
I think that practicality plays an enormous role. I mean, I remember when I was at St Martin's and everyone who was graduating in 79, 80, 81 were doing sort of, amazing, sort of fantastic things, quite literally. And although people like John Galliano came out of that environment, what people are really looking for is not someone who can design a three-legged trouser, but someone who can actually design a pair of trousers within a very narrow sort of framework, make it happen, have the right business model, and be able to articulate a design and turn it into something you can actually sell.
How do you view the future of the creative industries, considering today's economic climate?
I think actually, in times of economic woe, when times are tough, usually great creative things come out of it. You look at sort of 1980, 81, 82. I think at the time, none of us thought we were sort of Thatcherite entrepreneurs, but of course we were, because we were starting nightclubs, record labels, clothes shops, magazines, and there's a lot of cheap space around. It's easy to get ads in newspapers and magazines. It should be, in a sort of vacuum like this, easier, I think, to actually make your mark.
You study graphic design. How did you move from that into journalism?
I studied graphic design and photography, and I was a useless graphic designer and a useless photographer. And I completely fell into journalism by accident. However, having studied it and knowing quite a lot about it makes it much easier to order designers around, which is a fantastic thing.
The Creative Careers Summit is taking place here today. How important do you think events like this are?
I think it's important to have the sort of interaction between the real world and students. And I remember when I was at college, the only things that were really important, I felt, from external people, were people telling you about what happens in the real world. And that's it, basically, because it's the one thing you can't experience as a student.
Okay, thanks very much for your time.